Finally home.
Sir, you're back.
Yep, I arrived last night.
And how was your time in Europe?
Well, let's just say that I had a nice, fresh experience for my first visit in Paris. Spending 3 weeks in Sardinia and Corsica kind of felt like forever, but it was nice visiting my Italian family and seeing a couple filming locations. Also, I did turn 35 while there. As for London, well, it was great to visit there again after 15 years, and my favorite parts were seeing Titanic and the Harry Potter studio. Plus, I'm very proud that my little sister Sabrina has turned a big 3-0. Anyway, how was everything here in America?
Well, things have been a bit chaotic for America while you were away, courtesy of a certain man whose name you don't want to hear. There's also been fires here in California and hurricanes in Florida. Not to mention the fact that your Facebook page, where you've been trying to promote your blog show, has been terminated. But thankfully, you still have your actual Facebook profile. Also, I should have told you this a few months ago, but I've created a new DeviantArt page for you via Google.
Okie doke then. Anyway, how are Soxaja and 307? Are they around?
Not really. They've been traveling around, still hoping to find a cure for the doom spell inside your heart.
Well, I hope they hurry, since I only have a couple months left until the doom spell takes its impact on me.
Anyway, what are you going to blog for your epic return?
Well, I know it's October, but I can't start Nightmare Month just yet, due to my decorations not being set up yet. So, I think I may have an idea. Cue the logo. Hey everyone, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Well, as you can see, I just got back home from Europe after a 5-week-long absence, and I have to admit, it's gonna take a little while to get used to the time zone here in California. So, anyway, let me talk about Netflix again. Ever since the COVID lockdown came around, this legendary streaming service has been sharing some interesting animated shows and movies. Some examples that I looked at were The Little Prince, My Little Pony: A New Generation, Nimona, That Christmas, Spellbound, Thelma the Unicorn, Unicorn Academy, Back to the Outback, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, The Sea Beast, The Magician's Elephant, Klaus, Vivo, The Mitchells vs. the Machines, Over the Moon, and several others. But at the same time, they did also share some films that weren't so good, like The Monkey King and America the Motion Picture. But would you believe me if I told you that I got to see a Netflix movie in theaters about 2 months ago? Well, true story, and luckily, that'll be the film that I'll be sharing with you today. Released to Netflix on November 21st, 2023, the movie is Leo. Now, on for the plot of the film. The movie follows Leo, a 74-year-old lizard who has been stuck in the same Florida school for decades. When he learns that he has only 1 year left to live, he plans to escape his terrarium to see the outside world. But instead, he ends up dispensing wisdom to the anxious 5th graders who each take him home every weekend. So, what did I think of this? Well, When I first heard about it, I was a bit skeptical at first, but after hearing what several folks on the internet thought, like Animat and the cartoon hero, I stepped up and decided to give it a watch. And after doing so, it was actually a lot better than I thought it'd be. But in order to explain what I mean, let's head over to Mustang Notes. The film was directed by Robert Smigel, and in their directorial debut, Robert Marianetti and David Wachenheim. The film's writers were Smigel, Adam Sandler, and Paul Sato. Leo is the second animated feature from Sandler's production company, Happy Madison Productions, which came about 21 years after 8 Crazy Nights back in 2002, which was not only the very first bad movie that I ever blogged, but it was the absolute worst Hanukkah movie ever. The studios responsible for the computer animation is both Netflix Animation and Animal Logic, both of which worked on The Magician's Elephant during the same year. Now, before we move on, I must say this. Yes, I did see Leo on Netflix, and during early 2025, I managed to get it on DVD courtesy of my Walmart app, but I was absolutely surprised when my job coach took me to see Leo in theaters at the Aliso Viejo Cinema on August 5th, a few weeks before I left the US. And boy, that was a great experience for me and a few of my friends. Anyway, what are my thoughts on the animation? Well, in my opinion, the animation, for the most part, is pretty good, from the setting in Fort Myers, Florida, to the animals, to most of the human characters. Though, I kind of find the design of the kindergartners a bit cringeworthy, due to their round heads and their big eyes. But then again, I guess the design is meant to portray their uncontrollable rambunctiousness. Also to note, I feel like this style of CGI is kind of similar to the upcoming In Your Dreams movie, which is set to be streamed to Netflix next month. Moving on, I find the story to be somewhat relatable, mostly due to it focusing on a class of 5th graders, which was, believe it or not, one of the toughest years during my elementary school age. And I'm grateful that my teacher, Miss Peggy Davis Dutcher, got to be my guide throughout that year. Plus, I also find the movie to be a bit similar to Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, due to its centering on an animal accepting his own death. Kinda. Plus, I like that the film explores the themes of kindness, friendship, and the power of listening, and how to face life's challenges. Also, I think the humor in this movie is pretty okay, but not 100% family friendly, due to it sometimes being a bit gross, crass, and over the top. Another thing that I liked about this movie is that it's a musical with songs written by director Robert Smigel. Some of the most memorable ones, in my opinion, being the opening song Last Year and its finale reprise, along with the songs that Leo sings to help the kids and Miss Malkin, like the talking song, Dear Drone, Extra Time, aka Not That Great, Don't Cry, and Happy, which all teach the kids and Miss Malkin important lessons regarding anxiety, bullying, and growing up. And of course, there's the sentimental song, When I Was Young, where the kids reminiscent about their younger years, reflecting on how simple life was before the pressures of growing up and facing their final year of elementary school. And that's all I got for Mustang Notes. So let's move on to the characters and the voice actors who brought him to life. The title character Leo is voiced by Adam Sandler. Now, let me remind you guys that I am not the biggest fan of Sandler's acting, due to him being in a lot of major stinkers, including 8 Crazy Nights. But I did like him in films like Pixels, the first 3 Hotel Transylvania films, and Spanglish. And I also liked him in this film. You see, Leo is a 74-year-old Tuatara and a 5th grade class pet whom was brought into the classroom around October 1949. As Leo approaches age 75, he starts to worry that he is nearing the end of his life, leading to a bit of an identity crisis. What I like about Leo is that during every weekend, he becomes his students' emotional support to Tuatara, and I think he makes a good therapist. Plus, I find it interesting that Leo is named after Leonardo from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and that Sandler's voice for Leo was based on his former agent, Bernie Brillstein. His terrarium mate Squirtle is voiced by Bill Burr, whom was in Date Night, Daddy's Home, and he'll be in the upcoming Social Network sequel, The Social Reckoning. Squirtle is a turtle named after Squirtle from the Pokemon franchise, whom was brought into the classroom in 1979. To me, Squirtle is a bit of a cranky, sarcastic character, and he's a bit of a keen observer of the class. Even though he is sometimes envious of how much the kids love Leo, he is also a loyal friend who will go to great lengths for his companion. And now, on to the 5th grade students. Now, I'll only talk about the ones who stick out to me the most. Otherwise, we'll be here all day. Believe me. Let's start with Summer Chapman, voiced by Sunny Sandler. Summer is the very first student to volunteer to bring Leo home for the weekend. To me, Summer has got to be my favorite out of the kids. She's sweet, loving, and caring, yet anxious, talkative, and very annoying. While Summer tends to constantly talk a lot and leave people dazed and bored with her rambles, thankfully, Leo manages to help her to remember that the best way to connect with her peers is to ask other kids what they think and how they feel. Next up is Jada Wenger, voiced by Sunny's sister, Sadie Sandler, whom I remember as Winnie the Werewolf from the first 3 Hotel Transylvania films. Jada comes from a wealthy family, and she uses her popularity in class to overcompensate for some of her insecurities. She puts too much pressure on herself to live up to her parents' standards. Thankfully, Leo helps her relate more with her peers and make new friends. Next we have Eli, voiced by Roy Smiggle. Eli is a student who is often sheltered by his overprotective parents who program a drone to follow him throughout his daily life. This causes Eli to feel isolated from his peers and frustrated. He desires the ability to make decisions in his life, but he doesn't know how to express these grievances until his talk with Leo. With Leo's help, Eli writes the drone a letter on how he feels and makes it a point to express that while he doesn't hate Mr. Drone, he still values his independence. Also, when Eli isn't being micromanaged by his family or the drone, he expresses his outgoing attitude and adventurous side, being able to do dangerous stunts on his own without being hurt. Next we come to Mia Ruiz, voiced by Reese Loris. Mia is an enthusiastic science whiz who has a difficult time dealing with her parents being recently divorced, and she has a habit of hugging people sometimes. The rest of the 5th grade students include the insecure bully Anthony Martello, voiced by Ethan Smiggle, Cole H., voiced by both Brian Tardy and Corey J, Cole Weiskey, voiced by Carson Meniere, Logan, voiced by Gloria Manning, Skylar, voiced by Tanya Safko, and Zane, voiced by Colter Ibanez. Last but not least, we come to Mrs. Virginia Malkin, voiced by Cecily Strong, whom was in the 2016 Ghostbusters reboot and the 2024 Garfield movie. Malkin is the substitute teacher for Mrs. Selena's 5th grade class after she goes on maternity leave. At the beginning, she is very strict and she's keen to teach her students the meaning of discipline and responsibility, causing her students to worry that she is going to ruin their last year of elementary school. However, thanks to Leo, who reminds Miss Malkin that she is special, she slowly remembers why she became a teacher. At the end of the movie, Miss Malkin gets her own homeroom to teach kindergarten. And now, on to my final words. Overall, Leo was a very surprising animated film to come from both Happy Madison and Netflix. It has pretty good animation, it has great songs to learn from. The main character, Leo, has got to be Adam Sandler's most improved role next to Count Dracula, and the students that he helps throughout the film are very relatable. And while Miss Malkin was a strict substitute teacher, she does have a sympathetic side. Also, I like the lessons that the movie shares, like the value of insecurity, the power of listening and empathy, the importance of self-acceptance, the challenges of growing up, and finding your own purpose. However, the only thing that I didn't really like regarding this film was some of the humor, which were a bit gross. But if you can ignore all those parts, I think Leo is a good animated film that deserves a watch, especially if you like films with therapy. As for my rating, I'm going to give it a 93% out of 100. Well, that's all for...
Only 2 months remain.
Sir, are you quite all right?
Yes, I'll be fine. And I think I'd better get started on Nightmare Month. Can you summon Soxaja and 307 back here, please?
Of course, sir.
Anyway, for all those at home, be sure to join me next time where we begin 2025's Nightmare Month. Mustang Power.